Do excuse the broken sadness that is my drawers. Hi, welcome to today's tutorial. Today's tutorial is this blister makeup look thing that I got on my face right now, but I decided to switch up this makeup look and show you actually how I made the blisters first. So let's get on to that part of the tutorial right now. Okay, so for the boils I made out of gelatin, and to make gelatin you're going to need gelatin powder. Surprisingly, actually, that's like a shock of this tutorial. Some glycerin, which I found at Boots, or if you're in the US, a drugstore. Any one of those will do. And a cup of water. That's the ingredients. And then gonna need plastic container that won't melt in the microwave and some measuring spoons. So to actually make it, I can't remember the actual measurements, but I'll put it on the screen for text in the future. And I will also link down in the description box some gelatin making videos that I watched beforehand. Just get a reference to know what you're doing before you start doing it. And also I will warn you now, and anyone else will warn you, it absolutely reeks. It literally smells like if you were to go in the underground of the London Underground and like smell the walls. It probably smells like that. It's disgusting. Okay, so once that's all together and mixed, you'll want to go and heat it up in the microwave in about I did it in about 5 to 10 second increments, so boil it for 5 to 10 seconds and then take it out and then stir it, because you don't want to boil it, because if you boil it it starts bubbling and then it just turns into crap basically. But once it turns into this liquid like consistency, you're ready to do your boils or your blisters, whatever you want to call them. I don't really care what you want to call them, besides the point. Anyway, you want to get a plate or a flat surface and make sure it's all clean, and then you want to get a syringe. This is the best way I found. If you can find a better way to do it, then do that, but I found that using a syringe worked the best for me to make the bigger ones, and then I used other variety of things to make smaller ones. You want to squeeze the gelatin that you have in your syringe out onto the plate, and it's going to create this little bubble thing that you got, and then you can make it into blisters. Obviously this isn't the most effective way of making blisters because they're going to be kind of flat, which I found out. But I watched Jordan Hand's video and she did it with like clay and stuff, but I don't have the time or the patience for that, so I went with this option. Like a shadow dark. Now you're gonna have to heat this up like 2 or 3 times in the process of this, because it's gonna start kind of setting. So you want to keep heating it up in between little bubbles, if you want to call them. I made a crap ton of these to fill up basically the container that I filled up originally. I used all the gelatin that I had in there to make my boils. So now I would give them a good half an hour to dry, but once they are dried you should just be able to peel them up like this. Kabam! Really easy. Wow. And you now have blisters to work with, but first you got to powder them. So I used flour for this because that's the only thing I had on hand, and yes, my dog did attack the tin, so don't judge it. You can use like baby powder or setting powder, whatever you have, just use it, because YOLO life in it. And get a big powder brush and then set it all, because you don't want it sticking to things when you're trying to do stuff with it. That's annoying. So set it with powder. So set them all with powder and then report back to me, and then we're going to be ready to put them on our faces. Okay, time for the application in about a week's time, pretty much. Anyway, so first off, start picking apart a sponge, because we're going to put down some irritation marks beforehand, because that's going to make it a heck ton easier, rather than putting them in after all the stuff is on your face, which is annoying. So pick a sponge apart until it looks like this, and then you're going to dip it in some water, and then you're going to dip it in some red face paint, maybe some brown if you're feeling extra, and you're going to dab that all over your face in a random matter, basically wherever you're going to put blisters, because that's where we want the irritation to be, surprisingly. Oh, and if you plan to have foundation and eyebrows and things like that on, I recommend doing your foundation first before you start putting on your irritation marks, because otherwise it's going to be a weird step and you're just going to cover everything up and you're going to look a bit stupid. So do your foundation first, okay? Then we get to whip out our sexy looking blistery boil things. So get them out of your container that you had and pick a selection that you like, preferably looking like this. You can put it on your nose if you want. I wouldn't recommend that because we're not looking like a witch today. So pick out a few, don't drop them, and start laying them on your face roughly where you want to place them, just so you get a rough idea of how many you're going to have in one area, what sizes, before you start sticking them on your face. Planning ahead. Woo! And then you're going to grab some sexy liquid latex, pour it out into a little dish or whatever you want to put it in. Just don't put it in your mouth or your eyes because that would hurt, or in your eyebrows. It's either that too, that doesn't work. And with a disposable sponge, start laying the liquid latex around on your face in a circular rough-ish shape thing to lay down a little kind of home where the blister's going to stick to, and also put it on the back of the little prosthetic itself because that's going to give it extra hold and stuff. And then let it dry like the tiniest bit, blow on it if you have to, that's what she said, and then stick it on your face and hold it there for a couple seconds to make sure it's not going to fall off. I mean, I would recommend putting smaller blisters around it to make it not obvious where the lift is of the prosthetic, because otherwise it's going to look a bit stupid. But leave the tiniest gap because we're going to paint in between the holes later on. Now go and cover your face in the blistery prosthetic things and then come back when you look something similar to this. I know it looks really weird and really disgusting, but bear with me, it's gonna look okay. I think, I hope, I swear. Now then, by taking a tiny weeny bit of cotton ball, roll it up, and I'm gonna make a tiny little ball out of it, and this is gonna be my tiny little blisters on my face that I couldn't make tiny blisters out of gelatin with. And this is just gonna fill in any gaps that are on my face that I feel need filling. Like a jam donut. Fill it with the jam, fill it with the cotton and latex. So you're going to repeat the last steps, basically put a bit of latex down where you want the blister to go, but this time you're going to cover the whole entire blister in latex because it's made of cotton and you want it to all look okay and decent and stuff. So cover it in latex and then stick it on where you put your latex little gap thing. That. It looks something similar like this. So whilst that dried, I took my Morphe 350 palette and the cool brown eyeshadow colour and I began contouring everywhere, pretty much everywhere. My cheekbones, my eye sockets, my nose, my forehead, my neck, anywhere I contoured to make me look a little bit more withered away. And then once that was all dried, I took a foundation brush and my foundation and I began covering every single blister with my foundation colour. And this was just to create a more kind of skin, a bubbly thing rather than just a bunch of random lumps on my face. And it kind of matched my skin. Obviously it's going to look a lot different on gelatin than it is going to be on cotton and latex. So if you're going to use the cotton and latex method, be warned, it's going to look different, it's going to look a bit more orange. But I went over that with the cool brown eyeshadow anyway and kind of just dirtied everything up. And we're also going to be going in between the crevices of the blisters with red face paint. So prepare yourself for that. Went over all of that and set it all with my powder because it is foundation on top of pretty much skin. Now is the fun part, so taking a really thin, brush. I'm taking a red face paint and brown face paint, a tiny weeny bit of black face paint mix, and I start filling in the crevices between my blisters to create a little bit more irritation looking kind of thing. And I also bring this a tiny bit up onto the blisters themselves to make them look a little bit less weird and more blended. And then I dusted over the blisters with that same cool brown eyeshadow colour that I used before, just to dirty them up and make them look a little bit more old and dirty and that they've been there for a long time. That's pretty much it for the blisters. I feel like they look pretty sore and irritated as they are. So now I'm going over my lips with this really nice nude lipstick. It's called Concealer. It's great. Pick it up from anywhere. And I'm blending that in with a stippling brush and I'm closing my lips slightly to kind of make them look kind of split and like dusty and crusty crab, and basically looking like I haven't really been taking care of myself, because if you've got blisters on your face, you're not going to be looking after yourself. You know what I mean? And I also took red eyeshadow and put that on my lips, and I also put it on my nose and on my eyes to add a little bit more irritation elsewhere. Holy crap, we are finished! That is the final makeup look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell because I'm posting videos a lot. Well, not a lot recently because of GCSEs and stuff, but I post videos, okay? So I think you should subscribe, and I think you should put the bell on so that you know when I upload. Also, I think you should follow me on Instagram because that's pretty cool, and also Twitter. I'll put the links in the description box and names on the screen because that's what I do. I'm nice like that. You're welcome. And yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let you get on with the rest of your day. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! I swear to God, there's a monster outside my window. I swear down. I'm gonna cry myself to sleep tonight. Just saying.